Kakadosh Boker Tov Masechet Succah Daf Chet Amud Aleph. So yesterday we were just speaking about that we said anything which has the hekef, which is the circumference of 3 tefachim, has a rochav of the tefach, which means the hekefo shel haigul is 3 times the rochav. Okay, so then says the Gemara, if so, why did you tell me that you needed the circumference has 24 amot? Betrei sarsaki, already with 12, right? It should already be enough. Why should it be already enough with 12? Right? Because that's what he's trying to say, to do with how many are you doing this, like how are you doing the circumference. So the Gemara says, Hanemile, one of these words, be igula, only when it's going to be in an igul, in a circle. Aval beribua, but if it's going to be in a ribua, which is a square, by a tfe, you're going to need even more. So therefore, if the ribua, right, that's what he's saying over here, the ribua, right, is going to be, it says over here, it has to be the hekef more than 3 of the rochav. Okay, so when he said that you needed the 4 amot, the kavanah is 4 amot merubaot, square. Okay, let's just see here. Here you have the picture. Okay, so if everyone sees the picture. Okay, here it is, the 3 tefachim. So you have 1 tefach. If everyone sees it over here, 3 tefachim, 1 tefach. So here also, if you have 4 amot by 4 amot, so it's 12 amot. So why did he say, right, that you needed more? So then we went and we answered, right? How much is it more? Okay, this is what we're going to see now. To do with the how much is it more, the merubah yoter la igul. How much is a square more than a circle? Here you have a circle. How much is this square more than the circle? Yeah, so he's going to say Rabia. Yeah, well, there's an outer square. There's no inner square. There's only. No, I'm not in this one. I'm in this one. I'm in, right? In this one, how much is it more? So we're going to learn it's a ravia, it's a quarter. Meaning when you have a square outside of the circle, that's 1/4 more than the circle. That's what we're going to be seeing now. 1/4 of the size more than the circle. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So let's continue. Yeah, michti. Kama merubah yoter la igul ravia. So how much is a merubah more than an igul? How much is a square more than the circle? It's going to be a quarter. So therefore, if you're going to add a quarter of 12 is how much? Yes, 4. Right? A quarter of 12 is 3. So you're going to add, right? To the 12, you're going to add 3. So he says it should be enough to do. No, sorry, because we're trying to get to 24. So therefore, if you're going to minus a quarter, so therefore it should be enough 16. Why do we say you needed 24? Here it says, since we said the hekef of the igul of rochav 4 amot is 12 amot. So if so, the hekefo is going to be 16 amot, right? Because that's going to be more than a quarter that you're adding on. So he comes and he says, Hanamile, when are these words? Bigul denafik migo ribua. That's only going to be when the igul is inside of the ribua. But a ribua denafik migo agula. But if the ribua is on the inside, which means that the square was inside the circle, that was the second picture, where the square was inside the circle, by a tfe, so then the circle needs a bigger circumference, mishum morsha de kanata, because of the pinot, which are sticking out, right? And therefore, that's why he says you need more than the 16 as well. Okay, you also have it there. That's the picture there. You have it also, where you have whether the square is on the outside of the circle or the square is on the inside of the circle. Okay, you have both, right? Both pictures there. So says the Gemara, Nichte, right? Kol amata b'ribu amata utre chum shabalachsona. He says the general rule is that any amma of a ribua, you have an amma in 2/5, right? Which is going to be balachson. So therefore, right here we're talking about the pi, right? Which is 1.4. So he says over here, so it's going to be 1.4, but it's 1 2/5. Okay, so he says in ken if so it's beshiv sanechechum shasagi. So why did you tell me that you need 24? You don't need 24. You're right, you need more than 16, but you don't need 24. But what do you need? He says it's enough 16, right? And 4/5, right? Why is it going to be 16 and 4/5? So here it says on a lachson of a ribua of 4 by 4 amot is going to be 5.6 amot, because you have to do 4 by 1.4. So therefore it comes out that if it's going to be 5.6, 5.6 right? So therefore, if we just said that you have to times it by 3, so 3 times 5.6 is 16, but in 4/5, right? So therefore, it should be enough, 16 4/5. That's what it says here. Shivsar, 17, neche minus chumshe sagi, minus a fifth. So 17 minus a fifth is 16 and 4/5. Okay? So answers the Gemara, lodak. What does it mean, lodak? Lodak means we were not so precise. We weren't so meticulous, right, in the number. So says the Gemara, one second. Amar de amrina lodak, purta. When do we say lodak? When it's such a small amount. But tuva mi amrina lodak, but do we say it in such a big amount? Right? Because remember, beforehand we were talking about from 24 to 17. You could say lodak from 16 and 4/5 to 17. Okay. That you could say lodak, right? But you're going to tell me 17 to 24? That's a big number. So amale mor kashisha b'rad chastal Rashi misavra gavra be'amta yativ. Do you think that the person is actually sitting in an amah? Tlata gavre betarte amata yativ. You have 3 people sitting in 2 amot, which means each person only takes 2/3 of an amah. Meaning when you yourself, you're sitting, you don't need, right, a full amah. Remember, an amah is 48 centimeters. Okay, an amah is 48 centimeters. So you don't need, right, a full amah for a human being. You could put 3 people in 2 amot. So it means one person takes 2/3 of an amah. Okay, make sense? An amah is basically half a meter. It's 48 centimeters. Half a meter is 50. Yeah. What? For sure. People nowadays, they just eat. So they grow from all sides.
Yeshurun got fat.
That's like how do you call it? The things that they say on the airplanes, right? A person comes in, he's coming, sitting down. How many seats does he have to pay for? Yeah?
Yeshurun got fat.
Huh?
Yeshurun got fat.
Right. Vayishman Yeshurun vayivat. Yes. 100%. So says the Gemara, Kaba Havaluhu. So Bemet, how many amot are there then? Shitzar, it's going to be 16. Right? So Anan, Shitzar, Neche Chumshe Bayinan. We needed 17 minus a fifth. So he says the Gemara, now it's lodak. So says the Gemara, Ema damnina lodak lechumra. When do we say lodak? We say lodak only lechumra. Lekula miyamnina lodak, but do we say lekula? Here, if you needed the 17 minus a fifth, and then we just said 16, right? That's a problem, right? Because that means you're going lekula. You needed a lechumra. If it's going to be that it was a little bit more strict, I'm going to tell you how much you have to eat for a kezait. I'm going to tell you 29 grams, 30 grams. Okay, so it went up a little bit. It was really 28.8, but it went up a little bit. But that was lechumra. So, okay, fine. It was lechumra. It makes sense. But whoever told you lekula, right? If I'm going to go lekula, that means it could be that you're not going to be tzedachuvah. So to here, if I'm going to come and I'm going to need 17 minus a fifth, which is 16 and 4/5, and then I'm going to tell you how much is the sukkah? 16. They said, but Rabbi, I heard it was 16 and 4/5. It's the same thing. Lodak. What do you mean lodak? I can't go lodak lekula. I could go lodak lechumra, but not lekula. So Amale Ravasi Ravashi says Ravasi to Ravashi. Leolam Gavra be'amatza yati. Really, be'emet, no, we're retracting. Really, be'emet, the person does take an amah, right? So I guess even back then they also ate the same. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So he says Rabbi Yochanan mekom Gavre lo kachashi. But Rabbi Yochanan, right? He wasn't talking about the human being, right? Within the halal of the sukkah, but rather outside. So therefore, because of that, it says the igula pnimi is where the people are actually sitting on the inside, right? Is out in the outside area. Basically, it's going to be 16 amot. So says the Gemara, 1 second. So how many amot is this according to the hekef of the sukkah? So he wants to say now, if you're going to tell me that it's going to be like this, and we're talking about the different people, right? So then he comes and he says, so then it should be 6 amot. That's what it comes out. Here it says, until now we were talking about we're talking about 24 people within the sukkah. Now it's talking about the rochav of the igula, the shlish mekefo. It's always going to be a third. So now he comes and he says, so it comes out that the koter sukkah is 8 amot. Now the Gemara is going to explain that the people are sitting on the outside. So you have the picture there. You have 24 people. You know what? Maybe I have the picture here as well. Let me just check. Yeah. You have the people on the inside or the outside? Yeah, okay, we have the picture. So first of all, right? First of all, over here. Here it is, we're talking about the amma by the amma, and therefore you have 1 2/5, right? That's how you calculate, right, the box. Now here you have, we just said that there's 16 4/5 going around. Because if you have 4 amot by 4 amot, which is the square inside the circle, so therefore you're going to have from one area to the other area, it's going to be 5 3/5, and the circumference, the going around the circle is going to be 16 4/5. Now if you're going to go down, right? It went like this. We understood that the 24 people eating, that's here, the 24 people eating, going around over here, we understood that they were on the inside. That's the first picture in the art scroll on the top over there. On the inside. Now, if you're going to tell me it's on the inside, so then you have 8 going around. However, though, if you're going to tell me that the people are eating on the outside of the sukkah, right? That means the people that are eating on the outside of the sukkah, that means you have to have enough of the space of the outside of the sukkah. So then that's the second picture. Then it's already enough 6. That's why the inside is only enough 6 amot. You don't need it on the 8 amot. You see, the 8 amot is from the outer rim, and 6 amot is from the inner rim. So therefore, it comes out that you need less. So now, if you're going to tell me now it's 6 amot, so says the Gemara. No, I didn't understand that it's mamash that you're eating outside of the sukkah. I understood that when he was talking about the people we were talking about was how many people do you need? So now, according to this, if we're going to put the 24 people on the outside, and then it's going to be kosher, so it's enough 6. So kama havlu, so then it's going to be 3 times 6. So he says, B'shiv sanechechum shasagya. So he says, 1 second, it was already enough. 17 minus a fifth, right? So then the Gemara says, Hainu de lodak lechumra lodak. That's why it's going to be lechumra, right? Which means that he actually even added on to a little bit because you don't actually even need, right? That's what he says over here. When it says over here, tam nisre, which is going to be 18, but 3 times 6 is 18. But then it says velechum, right? Lodak, and he was lodak lechumra. That means he was going a little bit more. Okay, fine. Rabbanan de Kesare, ve'amnu le dayanei de Kesare. Some people say they're the rabbis of Kesari, or some people say it's the dayanim of Kesari. They said igula denafik migoribua is riva. They kept the circumference of an igul which comes out of a ribua is going to be how much? Right? Is a ribua is going to be 1/4. Okay. V'chetamu bet 8b. The ribua denafik migo igula palga. Now the hekef of a ribua, which is coming outside of an igul, okay, which means it's when you have the square, which is going to be mukaf from a circle, so it's going to be palga, is going to be less than half of it. Okay, that means it's going to be less. It says over here, hainu shehekef ribua katan b'shlish mehekef igul. So that means the ribua is going to be right. Is going to be 1/3 less than the hekef of the igul. So says the Gemara, right? This just shows you that in the Gemara, what?
Didn't we say quarter?
No, the quarter was before from but here we're talking about from the ribua, which is inside the igul, not the igul inside the ribua. Igul inside of the igul inside of the ribua is a quarter.
Right.
The other way around, that the ribua is inside of the igul, that's going to be 1/3.
So losing more space.
Yes, right. So this is, by the way, just to show you how much that they knew mathematics. Right? Don't think that in the Gemara they didn't know math. They knew exactly what they were doing here. Yeah?
Geometry.
100%.
Geometry.
Yeah, everything. Velohi, but says the Gemara, it's not so. Because we see that it's not such a big shiur. Right? So therefore it's not going to be mamash, right? That's such a big shiur. Amar Rabbi Levi Mishum Rabbi Meir. Says Rabbi Levi Nim Rabbi Meir. Shte sukkot shel yotzrim. 2 sukkot of yotzrim, which are people that they create kli cheres. Right, earthenware vessels. Zuliflim is one inside of another one. The primit does not need a sukkah, is not keshera for a sukkah, and it's chayavet in the mezuzah. The outer one is keshera for a sukkah, and it's pturam in the mezuzah. Right, so you have, let's see if we have a picture of 2 sukkot, one inside of another one. Here it is. You have shte sukkot shel yotzrim, zo lifnim mizo. You have one inner one and one outer one. Yeah, it's like shte chadarim. You have an inner one and outer one. This is an outer one. There's a room. You see the door?
Oh, yeah.
That's an inner one. Inner one.
That's what we did 4 days ago. We spoke about it 4 days ago.
I don't remember speaking about it 4 days ago, but it could be.
The Sukkah im den.
Almost. Yeah. So it's like a bedroom. Yeah. So what happens? With two of them, one inside of the other one. So it says over here, the inner one, right? It says over here is not kosher for a sukkah, and it's chayav mezuzah. The outer one is going to be kosher for a sukkah, and it's patur min mezuzah. So says the Gemara V'amai, why are you going to tell me that it's going to be that the outer one is going to be patur from the mezuzah? Tehave chitzonit kebet shar apnimit v'titchayav b'mezuzah. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Why don't I say that the outer one is like a bet shar? Bet shar is what? Is like a gatehouse, right, from the inner one, and therefore it should be chayav and mezuzah. Answers the Gemara, no, mishum de lo kavia. Sukkah yotzrim is not kavua. So since it's not kavua, the sukkah pnimit is not chashuva kol kach, right? Sheyeh lo bet shar, that it should have a bet shar. So since it shouldn't have a bet shar, so it comes out that the inner one, right? That's what he's trying to say over here, that the inner one is not going to be kosher for a sukkah, but it is going to be chayav a mezuzah, because at the end of the day, that's what it says here. Sukkah pnimit psula mitzvah sukkah, because it's lo nikar shedar ba l'shem mitzvah. Right, which means that's where you live. Like if you made it into a room, right? How did you do it? You had the outer. Remember, you had the outer area, right? And then you made a room. And you have a divider, and you had the door. So now the fact that you always live there, even during the year, that's not nikar. It's not recognizable that it's a sukkah. So because of that, he's saying it's not going to be kosher as a sukkah, and it's chayav in a mezuzah. Why is it going to be chayav in a mezuzah? He says because the fact that you're always living there. So that's it. So you need a mezuzah. Oh. The outer one, right? There, it's not chashuv. So since it's not going to be chashuv because it's open, so therefore what happens is it's going to be patur from the mezuzah, but you're allowed to use it as a sukkah because you don't live in the outer one, you live in the inner one. It's the same roof. Same roof.
No, but both of them is the sukkah. It's not something permanent, right?
Let's go.
That's the Gemara. We learned in a Braita. Ganvach, Sukkot Goyim. Ganvach is Rashi Tevot, an acronym for Goyim. Sukkot Nashim, Sukkot Be'emat, Sukkot Kutim, Sukkot Mikol Makom. Right? All of these cases, whether we're talking about of a Goyim, which means that a Goy did it in order to sleep there the entire summer, or for women, right? The women, they come and they start kneading inside. Not kneading, weaving inside. Sukkot Be'emat, for a place for animals, right? For the animals. Or Kutim, right? Or Sukkot Mikol Makom. Even if the sukkah was just made for whatever, just like, it's going to be kosher. As long as it was done like the halacha. My kilchata was mean kilchata. Amanav chastav u'shasal latzel. He made it for the tzel, for the shade. So sukkah mikol makom. What is the sukkah mikol makom coming to include them? What is sukkah mikol makom? What is sukkah mikol makom? That is sukkah rakbash. What is rakbash? The Tanna we learned in a Braita rakbash, which is resh for ro'im, shepherd sukkah, kayatzim. Right, these are the ones which they're watching the figs or whatever it is in order to dry. Furganin or the shomrei of the city, right? Watchmen. Sukkah shomrei parot, they watch over the fruits to make sure people just don't come by and start stealing. Sukkah mikol makom, right? Even if it's going to be less than one of these things, it's still going to be kosher as long as it's going to be mesukech kilchata. My kilchata, amanav chastav v'shu salatzel. As long as you're making it for the shade. Sukkah mikol makom, what is it coming to include? Sukkah ganvach. So that means each braita was coming to include the other one, whether it's ganvach or rakvash. Ganvach was, again, goyim, nashim, be'emah, right, and kutim. And the other one with rakvash was ro'im, kaitzanim, burganin, shomrei perot. So says the Gemara, haitan at the ganvach, right, alim aleh, right, so he says ganvach, mishum de kviyeh. Why does he say that the chidush is to grab on that it's still considered, right, the sukkah? Because at the end of the day, there's still kavua. The katana mikol makom, and it's coming to teach you la tuyi rakvash, but it's not fixed. Because this one of the roim and all those things, they're not a fixed sukkah. So that's why it's a bigger chidush. Haitana de rakvash, but the one that taught rakvash, alim alei rakvash, he holds that rakvash is better to tell you that it's more of a sukkot. Because these people are chayvim in the sukkah, right? But tana mikol makom, and it taught us to mikol makom la tuyi ganvach tela benech yuva ninu, because they're not people which are chayavim. And we finish until Mishnah, which means like this. One more time, we had two different groups. Right, whether it's ganvach or rakvash. Each one was a chidush telling us that it's a sukkah. So the question is, why did one teach the other one, and the other one taught sukkah mikol makom, and it added in the other group. And why did the other one? So he says the two different reasons. The gan by the kvash, the ro'eh shomer perot, they're chayavim in mezuzah, in the sukkah. They're chayavim in the sukkah. So since they're chayavim in sukkah, there's still a chidush to tell you that it's going to be right. The how do you call it? That it's sukkah, and then the rakvash is coming to the lead. What? No, but that's the other one, right? The other one is that the why did I want to take the ganvach and not the rakvash? Because it's the kveh. Since it's kveh, therefore it's more to be yoter chashuv v'sukkah and not to be just stam, whatever it is, that it's just going to be a temporary thing for nothing. Okay, very good. So Lina, that we continue because not the